Hey guys, welcome to the 6th episode of the Art Mart podcast series, produced by Trips to Sense. I told myself last week I was going to stop doing that.
How far did
Are you in
Enjoy
the
it.
MLG now?
MLG?
Is that what's going on? Do you need some Doritos and Mountain Dew to go with your intro?
Coming from the guy who works at Doritos.
You know, I make them, I don't eat them. There's a difference.
Anywho, we are here with our great guest, Sam. You want to tell us a little about yourself real quick?
Yeah, so my name is Sam Hauser. I am an interdisciplinary artist and designer. I work in oil painting, batik fabric dye, and digital illustration. And then I do a little graphic design on the side too.
So I want to get into the dye part a little bit because I went through your website.
Yeah.
But going back a little bit, since all of our viewers and a little bit of us don't know about your history, can you give us a little bit of your background, what your life has been like, and how art has affected you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I first got into being creative and making artwork at a really young age. My grandmother used to watch me while my mom worked, and she's a really big ceramicist tile artist. So she'd make big murals on tile and install them in homes and offices and businesses. So since she watched me all the time, we'd always make art, and it's something I've always stuck with for the most part, off and on throughout my life. And then in high school, I really delved into it and really found a love for it. It's one of the only things where there isn't an answer anyone can give you for what to do. And you can't really make anything correct or incorrect. It's all just about a journey and self-growth, and I really love self-growth.
Unless there's an art critic looking at it.
Yeah, I love that.
Then it's completely
I
incorrect.
live off
They're
that.
always
I
wrong.
live off that. Like when people are mean to me about my art, I love it. I love it. And then I went to art school.
Where did you go to art school?
I went to MICA in Baltimore.
Oh no, not Baltimore.
No, not Baltimore.
It's a horrible city.
It's pretty bad.
We had a conversation about Baltimore earlier today.
It's so clean.
Parts are actually
Just-
pretty
With how high pitched your voice had to get to defend Baltimore, that's how you know.
It's just all not true.
I mean, just don't go down security.
The Inner Harbor's nice. I love the Inner Harbor.
Yeah.
It's kind of dope.
Yeah,
I hear it's pretty crabby.
it is extremely crabby.
Old Bay everywhere.
Every corner.
Crabby or
I'm gonna
Crabby
obey-
on every
I'm gonna
corner.
obey your balls.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Sounds delicious if you ask me. I was going to ask a question, but then I got distracted by you saying you like it when people are mean at you about your art.
Yeah.
Why?
I love it. It makes me better. I actually miss that about the East Coast. People are a little more brutal and honest. And in art making, I actually think, for me, that can be really helpful. I think it's what turns a lot of people away from art school. But for me, it actually makes me see things from a different perspective and kind of forces me into the viewer's perspective and other people's perspective, and my work only gets better when people are negative about it.
When you started making art when you were really little, obviously you didn't like people being mean to you when you were a little kid.
No, of course. That's something I learned in art school to learn to love.
To become an art masochist.
What did you learn in coding school?
Yeah,
I learned how to
exactly.
hate myself.
Yep.
What got you into art first? What's the
Sure.
first catalyst you could remember?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I actually am someone I really do like to be alone. And art making is a great way to be alone and kind of explore your own psyche. So I think that's probably one of the first things that really got me into it, was the fact that I could do it and be alone, but also be being productive alone. So I really like that. And then in high school was always really easy for me, but really boring.
You're one of those kids.
Yeah.
Didn't
I was one of those
study,
asshole
still got a
kids.
95.
Exactly, yeah, who never studied.
I did terrible
yeah.
on that test, got a 93.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone
but
hated you.
Art was challenging. I've never been the best artist in my circle. I was never the best artist at any of the schools I'd attended to, and I like that. I like challenging myself and trying to get better.
See, with myself in school, I was always taking SATs, and I played drums a lot. And all my teachers had the same stupid joke about my drumming. It was like, hey, what did the drummer give his SATs? It was like, drool. It's so funny.
At least you were drumming up interest.
You think they would drum up a better joke?
You're beating on the wrong drum.
Pun twins.
I.
Maybe we could get a new symbol for jokes.
God damn it. Just stop it. You guys are really trying to snare these jokes.
You guys are really riding this along.
Yeah, we are. It's a whole kit.
Jesus Christ.
And that broke him.
You're welcome.
Where did you go with your art after college? Not physically where, but where?
So actually after college I really needed a break to kind of decompress, because
Okay.
the last couple of years of art school are a lot different than any normal college. You basically just work heavily in isolation and get critiqued by visiting artists.
Which are your two favorite things, apparently.
Yeah, I do.
Being
actually.
isolated
yeah,
and being
true.
yelled
Yeah,
at.
I do. So I enjoyed it, but just working so much and being stressed out. I was one of the only double majors at my school, so I was always working really hard. And I actually took about a year off and didn't make any art, which I think is kind of normal.
What'd you double major in?
Art history and painting.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think in my work you can actually see a lot of influences from art history. I lived in Italy for a year. Love Michelangelo, so you see a lot of like sculptural, like things in my figures that I depict.
That's
You
neat.
see.
Yeah.
What part of Italy did you go to?
I lived in Florence, but I actually worked for this man who's like brilliant. He takes X-ray photographs of old master paintings and
Oh.
tries to figure out like who actually painted
Like
them.
the Da Vinci Code.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, people hate
Stop
him.
it.
But museums hate him, actually.
Stop it.
But I got to go to like a different city every week because we would just travel to work to take the X-rays. So I've been to almost every city in Italy, which was amazing.
That's cool. So it's almost
Yeah.
like archaeology meets
Exactly.
art.
Yeah.
Art
Yeah, it was really
archaeology.
interesting, and like it was like a whole
You could
lab
say.
where we had the X-rays, very scientific, and it was really interesting.
Did you actually find anything like super drastically
Yeah.
turning the art world on its head?
Yeah, I wrote a dissertation about it actually. So the Uffizi in Florence, with their big museum, has a piece that they say is made by Leonardo da Vinci called the Annunciation. But if you look at X-rays, you can tell it was made by like at least 20 different people.
Oh, damn.
Because like of all the different variations.
That's
of
super cool.
Paintbrush stroke and color rendering and everything. So things like that. I don't know. It's interesting to me.
So an interesting art orgy going on.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I never thought that like that much
Yeah.
forgery would go into art.
Yeah. Well, because people in Europe, they find these old paintings, and the museum wants it to be from the famous artist because
Right,
it brings
'cause that
them
gets
reputation.
People to
and-
walk in.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So his work was really fascinating to me. Really fun.
So since we're on art history, give us a brief art history of you.
Art history of me.
Ah,
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
I like
there
that.
we go. I'm asking the real questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just getting
As
right
opposed to
in
my
there.
fake questions.
I mean,
If you take an X-ray to my questions, you'll actually see 17 different people.
Yep.
So
Constructive
they're very
words.
boneless.
just like a banana.
Well, color especially is what motivates me in my work. I love color. I like to study it. I think it makes anything interesting. I can be really interested just looking at a wooden surface and trying to think of how to mix all the different colors that are in it.
Would you though?
No, probably not. No. And then in college, I really wanted to represent figure, but I didn't do it very well originally. So I took a lot of old master classes and portraiture classes and figure drawing classes. So that's actually what I teach more often when I teach private lessons, is the portraiture and the figure drawing.
Yeah, that makes sense. Portraiture and figure drawing is the hardest.
Yeah, yeah.
It's also very hard to say. Portraiture.
You're very hard to say.
Not particularly.
No.
How long have you been in Denver?
I actually live in the Front Range, but I've been back for 6 years. I grew up in Colorado.
Okay.
And then I left for about 6 or 7 years, and then I came back 6 years ago in 2015.
All
Okay.
the sixes.
Yep.
All of I can support that.
Again, back to Da Vinci Code with all the demonic nomenclature.
Yeah, and then it's really been just this last year that I've really been diving into the Denver art scene. So
Cool.
it's been really great. Yeah.
What got you into the art scene in Denver? If you're not living like downtown Denver,
Yeah.
what brought you to Denver?
Well,
Back to Denver,
give-
actually.
There's not many galleries on the Front Range that really have like actual handmade art. A lot of it is like reprinted on canvas pieces for people's like condos and townhomes. So just applying to shows really and finding galleries I really liked working with, and now I'm working for Shift down here. So yeah, just
What
finding
was that?
opportunities.
What was that place?
Shift at Mile High. That's where we had an open wall last week. It's a mindfulness and yoga
Let's get
center.
into this a little bit. Let's get into
Yeah.
this because this is actually part of what we were talking about.
Yeah,
This
we were trying to do this last week, but
Yeah.
everything fell apart.
Everything fell apart. I had to get COVID tested. All
Everybody
clear.
fell apart last week.
Well, yeah, it was a little bit of a, so for everyone listening for last week, the reason we didn't have a guest on is we literally like Mark said, everything just like, fell through the hole. And that's where we came up with our brutal brunch from
Yeah, that's
Oh,
what we
really?
did.
Oh, that's so
so
interesting.
yeah, our first one came from
Yeah.
that. So that I mean, a positive thing happened from
Yeah.
something negative.
Silver
But-
lining.
Yeah.
But hey, we're all here right now and enjoying a little bit of talk about art, and honestly, bringing this up as we're talking about art history. Mm-hmm. This is our first bit in show history. All
First
right?
bit.
It's a whole bit.
This is art or bust.
Not quite a
Art
drill
or
bit.
bust. Got it.
Okay. So we're gonna ask you a few questions about some art history and see what you know about art history.
Okay.
Here we go.
On the
Shoot
spot.
at me.
Even
Yeah.
I'm
On the
nervous.
spot.
Okay. So
You're
we got-
welcome for this.
We got 3 questions.
Thank you.
And if you want to play, if you drink, you're wrong. You gotta drink if you're wrong.
Okay.
Okay. So the first question is, when was art an Olympic event?
I don't think art is an Olympic event.
It was.
Allegedly.
It was. Okay. I will drink.
Obviously wrong.
So
Okay, so what's the answer?
First
to that
one
one,
down.
actually?
the answer
what is
was,
the answer to that one?
It was from 1912 to 1940.
It's so subjective. Like,
And
it's
medals
so
were
odd.
given out for architecture, music, painting, sculpture, and literature.
Wow, I had.
Could
no
you imagine
idea.
being an Olympic writer?
We're an Olympic architecturist?
I mean, I could see that more.
It's kind
He
of,
must be Zeus!
yeah.
I feel like that was in the era of Art Deco, though.
Architecture of the gods.
I think
yeah,
1912
that
was-
was a lot of
yeah.
Art Deco, but
They
also
were like 40 by the
Dadaism.
time it ended.
Yeah.
It was right before
Yeah.
World War One. So I mean, I'm sure anything went at that point.
Yeah, there's like a lot of different movements at that point, so
Okay.
that would be hard to pick.
Yeah, right. I mean, like,
Yeah, I
that's-
don't like. How do you decide?
I mean, I'm not trying to have you get them right. I'm trying to stump the fuck out of you. So
That's the
alright,
goal.
So the second
good
one
job.
is, what painting has its own mailbox?
I know the answer to this, but
I
only
just
because you
told you
told
that 2
me.
hours ago.
I want to say it's a painting that is a mailbox, but I don't know that one either.
Well, I don't know that one. If it is a famous mailbox,
I'm just
painting,
picturing like a
is there-
Dada,
is
like
there a
mailbox
mailbox
on the
painting?
wall with someone's name on it.
but it's the Mona Lisa,
It would be a mailbox taped to a wall.
Really?
and the reason being is it has
Because it
so
gets
ma-
so much fan mail.
It's actually love letters,
Oh,
Oh,
That's weird.
and
yeah.
the whole audience went.
aw.
Right, isn't
That's
that
interesting.
precious?
The Mona Lisa's kind of
That's sweet.
disappointing.
Have you
I
x-rayed the
thought.
Mona Lisa or no?
I would agree with that.
Yeah,
Huh?
in person,
Yeah.
it's kind of disappointing.
Were you able to x-ray the Mona Lisa, or is that
No,
on the list?
no. The
or is
Louvre,
that
yeah, the Louvre is because some of the museums we would kind of have to sneak in and do it with the equipment.
So you would
They
do an
don't want
art
you to.
heist to
Yeah,
X-ray
kind of.
painting.
Sneaky,
Yeah, pretty much.
sneaky
I
X-ray.
never
Oh.
want to stop hearing about this.
Yeah, but the Louvre is like so well guarded and secure. I don't think they would let.
Like
anybody
Mission
do that.
Impossible
Yeah,
coming
it
from the
would-
ceiling.
Yeah, you'd have
an
to.
X-ray machine, you go snap a picture,
yeah,
run away.
You'd have to go in at
Dun,
night.
dun, dun.
Yeah.
So you know which piece of art has its own phone?
Which one?
The banana taped to the wall.
Yes.
Why does that not surprise me? And also, why does this keep coming up? Like, this is the third week it's been brought up.
I remember hearing it on
Yeah.
your interview.
All right, so the last one of the first bit we've ever done on the show.
That's the last one.
Well, no,
The last
he's just
question.
doing his- he's just doing his thing.
It could be the last bit too, depending on how this
is a funny
goes.
one. This is a funny one.
Is
right?
it though?
Well, I think it's funny. What artist filled an entire room full of bacon?
I would say Bjork.
I would say Bjork too, honestly.
Anybody else?
Kevin Bacon.
Or Gaga.
God damn
Or Lady Gaga, if you can call her
Yeah.
an artist. I could see her doing that.
it. Okay, but legitimate guess. Hold on, I actually want to guess because I don't know the answer to this.
Did I tell you this earlier?
No, you did not. You asked the question, but it ended up never going beyond building a pyramid of Trulies.
That never happened to our viewers.
No,
We were not drinking before this show.
we would never do such a
Who's the guy who
thing.
ate
We're
his
family
shoe on
oriented.
camera? I'm thinking that guy, but I can't think of his name.
I would feel like it would fall in the realm of Dolly, honestly, because he had an anteater, which has nothing to do with bacon.
Really nothing at
But
all.
I could definitely see it being a thing. I mean,
All right, well, I'm going to do my best not to slaughter this person's
you will.
name.
I guarantee you will.
Just don't slaughter it like all that bacon.
I feel
Don't
like
be a
the bacon
pig.
wasn't eaten. Like, there's so many people that are hungry out there.
Yeah.
Nathaniel, quit
Yeah,
hamming
were,
it up.
Were the people who came to the gallery allowed to eat the bacon off the wall?
Depends how long.
Was it cooked?
Make the,
Yeah.
Make the piece, right? So,
Yeah.
Was it cooked bacon? No,
Was it
because if
Canadian
not,
bacon?
there's all kinds of health issues involved in that.
All right. Well, this person's name was Skoglund.
Can you spell
Sounds
that?
very Norwegian.
Skoglund. Best known for her radioactive cats, but had been doing incredible installations for almost 20 years and filled a room entirely full of bacon.
Radioactive cats?
Yeah,
That's what she's
what
known
are the radioactive
yes.
cats?
I'm more curious about the
I am a
radioactive
little more
cats.
I really want to
That's
so much
more-
more
I don't-
radioactive cats.
Like, is it a painting of a radioactive
they
cat?
As a
Like
host-
an actual
cats?
cat that's
As a host, I'm
radioactive?
very sorry to do my research on this because
Like where the
it's
cat's
really
glowing
hot
green?
button topic for us.
Yeah.
I feel you should have.
There's like the Hemingway cats that all have like 6 fingers, but they weren't radioactive. They
No.
were just freaks
Or
of
were
nature.
they?
Yeah, is it...
No, they were just freaks of
Well,
nature.
you know, feral cats
How do
have
they make
six,
them radioactive?
6 things, right?
6 things? 6 things.
6 peens.
Oh, that'd be a whole lot of horrible noise in an alley in the middle of the night.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay, so going back to what I was talking about earlier. and if I say this wrong, please
Mm-hmm.
let me know. Is it batik silk dyes?
Yeah, batik silk dye.
What are those and what are you using them for?
Yeah, so batik silk dye actually started in like Indonesia on the island of Java, and it's how they made their textile, their clothing. It's how they dyed it. So it goes back thousands of years. It's like 1,000-year-old process. And originally, you would use it to make textile. You'd use wooden ink and dip like wooden. No, not wooden ink. You dip wooden stamps into wet wax.
I'd be more intrigued by wooden.
Yeah, yeah.
That'd be-
And you dip it in the wet wax, so I heat up wax every time I'm working. And then you apply that to the silk, and it protects the silk from the dye. So each different color in the silks is a whole different wax painting and dye process. And then at the very end, I take all the wax off of the silk, and it leaves this really, really beautiful textured image with all these different kind of cracklings, because the wax crackles as you're doing it.
Well,
when I
that's
think of
just
cracklings, I
Yeah,
just think
yeah. So I
like,
kind of made my own process where I
pigskin.
paint. I paint with the wax, so I use paintbrushes and I paint on with melted wax. I haven't really been doing it much this summer because I don't have AC and it's hot as hell in my
geez.
house. But
Is it difficult to blend wax, or is it like, since it's so fluid, it's just relatively simple?
yeah, you actually want to do a combination of paraffin and beeswax, and
I was actually gonna
I
ask
have
that.
a crock pot. Is I think the easiest way to do it. So I just have a little crock pot I only use for that, and I just plug it in and heat it up, like fill it up once a month, and then just heat it up every time you want to use it.
Do you ever use like scented waxes to make scented artwork? Or
I
is it-
haven't, but I'm into that.
scratch a sniff.
I don't know
Scratch
how
a
to
sniff.
work. Yeah.
Scratch
I do have to boil the wax off for like hours. I don't know if the smell would stay.
Why do you have to
If
boil
like, added
it?
it
To
at
get
the
the
very
wax
last
off the
second.
piece. Like at
Oh.
in the end there's
Oh.
no wax on the piece. It's just silk.
So with the oils, the smelling oils might still stay
Yeah,
though.
they might stay. Yeah.
I feel like you should make that's like a fifth dimension of art is the smell.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually just heard there's people. Did you know there's people whose job it is to like make scents? I forget what it's called.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, but like make smelling scents. Like they try to replicate like the smell of 18th century Paris and things like that.
Probably just smells like a sewage system.
Really? Yeah, because I just found out there's people who do that. I'm like, that is such a cool job.
That would be like,
Yeah.
what, 10th century Paris that smells like that?
Or modern day Paris.
Wouldn't that
I don't
just
know.
smell like? Wouldn't that just smell like snails, cigarettes, and body odor?
They didn't have cigarettes.
Oh, that's 18th
so probably
century.
wine,
Okay, snails and body odor.
wine, blood, and body odor.
I'm down with blood.
Wine, blood, and body odor. That's the
Very
title of our
metallic
upcoming album.
iron smell.
Yes, yes. Yeah, so I actually kind of made my own batik process, and then I paint figures with it, which is kind of rare. You don't really see painted images usually with batik.
That figures.
Yeah.
What's it usually?
Yep. Yep. Usually it's just
I
patterns.
made a joke.
Okay.
And then you make clothing out of it. And something I would like to do eventually, I'm not a seamstress, is I would love to make clothing out of the silk that I dye. I think that would be really interesting, but not,
does sound
not
pretty
there
cool.
yet. Gotta figure out sewing first.
Yeah, so, well, we already asked that.
Oh.
Not to a certain extent here.
Anyway.
You
yeah.
lose your
Well, that's a
microphone
hiccup.
privileges.
All right, so we already talked a little bit about how you're involved in the community, but like, how did you actually get involved, and like, what do you do right now in the art community?
Yeah, so I work in events. I've worked in events since college. Before COVID, I worked more on like the restaurant side and sales side of events. With COVID, it was kind of a blessing. I got to change careers because I got furloughed. So now I'm an events manager at a gallery, and that's taught me a lot, both that and working in events for a while, on how to create my own events. So I've just been saying yes to any opportunity I can find, seeking opportunity, making connections with different community groups. And then finding artists on Facebook and Instagram who want to work with me and do things with me.
I mean, that is how I accidentally found you.
Yeah, so we found each other as I hit up Mark on Facebook.
Well, to kind of piggyback off that, so a big part of why we're here doing this whole podcast is to not just like, influence the masses on, joining our cult,
Yeah.
but to...
I'm always sold on cults.
Which we don't have.
Don't let them lie to you.
Definitely
We're waiting
don't
for
have
the
a
next
cult.
comment to come
They're
around.
coming.
We have the tracksuits ready. The Kool-Aid is brewing in the kitchen.
In the crock pot next to the wax.
Yeah,
It's true. True story.
But what our really big goal is I want to learn a little more about art.
Yeah.
He wants to learn more about art. We all got this thing together about we all just love fucking art.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
I don't like fucking art. I like creating it. Fucking it's a whole different thing. That gets messy.
The one I just said.
It gets
Retroactively
messy,
placed
very
a
sticky,
comment.
slightly salty. It's
But
horrible when you watch the art.
what we want to do is we want to inspire the other artists out there that maybe only have 25 followers.
Yeah.
Or the people that are or might be buying their first paintbrush right now.
Yeah.
So coming from someone who's in the community and who just said yes to everything, how can they put themselves in that mindset and what should they do?
I think that is one of the hard things. Like, art school trained me to like rejection and be used to rejection. I do think that turns off people who don't have that background because, like, and before this year, I probably only got into one of 3 or one of 4 shows that I applied to.
Right.
And fees are expensive for most shows. So I would recommend looking for free shows, open wall opportunities. A lot of the people at our event last week, which was just a free open wall event, any artist could bring any work they wanted, had never shown anywhere before, but had a crazy amount of work, a crazy amount of body of work. So I think that's something that Denver art community could change and try to make people feel a little more welcome and inclusive when they are just starting out.
Isn't that against art though? I
Yeah.
thought that was all elitism.
Well, yeah, in the past, we're changing
that's
it
true.
right here, right now.
Love it.
She's in the community. We're trying to get so everyone can be involved with this.
Yeah.
I love that part about it. 'Cause we want everyone, especially our listeners right now, we want everyone to feel welcome and inclusive to art
Yeah.
itself. I mean, it's not something that we have to be someone who's on your level. Someone who just wants to pick up a paintbrush and just go ahead and go paint. Mm-hmm. We want to inspire everybody here to go do what they want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would tell everybody that I make really bad art a lot of the time. The things I post
Don't
is
we
not all
all?
of my art. Yeah, like the
I
things
only
I
post
post are
like
the things.
10% of what I do.
Yeah, the things we post are the things we love, and it takes a lot of crappy art to get there, and a lot of just messing around. Like, I have days where I don't want to hone myself down, and I just kind of play with my materials, and nothing ever comes out of it except for experimentation.
So getting back, you're talking about little community stuff.
Yeah.
We were just talking about how people how to get other people involved. Mm-hmm. What about you being in the art community, do you like most and why?
I like most finding people who are maybe one step ahead of me in their career and picking their brain and kind of figuring out how I can get to my next step. And then even more than that, though, I like finding people who are gems who've never felt comfortable showing anywhere before or never had the opportunity, and I like giving them the opportunity to gain confidence.
If you're looking for gems, my last name is Diamond, so
There we
it's a
go.
good thing. I'm
That's
right
pretty
here.
rough.
You're invited to everything.
Got a perfect.
Oh boy.
Got an element right there.
Yeah.
But
Is Jones a gem?
Only if you're jonesing for it. What is something you hate? Other than dogs barking, what is something you hate about the art community?
So I think there's kind of two sides to the coin, and certain pockets of it can be really inclusive and other pockets are really exclusive. I think especially in Denver, there's kind of like a dichotomy between the like really fine high-end galleries on Santa Fe and then all the other galleries. I actually prefer to show more like up in the Lakewood Arts District and things like that, because the galleries at the more posh places that get more traffic take such a high commission that that's something like I don't really like working with anymore, because then my work is so expensive. I feel like I'm ripping people off. So I kind of prefer the smaller, less downtown galleries I've figured out. But I think everyone's different.
well, I don't mean to interject, but have you ever been to this gallery right here next to?
I don't think so. What's it called?
Okay.
Okay. No, I don't
That's
think
a
so.
very official name.
Yeah, I don't think
You
so.
heard it here first.
It's French.
I'll repeat it. Yeah, but I've been telling the art gallery director. I met her outside when our dogs were pooping together.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cute.
So
Not
nice.
on the carpet this time?
So romantic. Oh, really?
It's gonna
We're
keep
gonna
going.
Bring that shit back up
We
again?
will.
Oh, got it.
We
Okay,
will.
So when you weren't here,
A shit show occurred.
my dog, the one that's, I'm sorry for all the audience that's barking right now. She's just not a good dog right now. Right now, she's a good dog like when we sleep. and
She
stuff.
just
Bad
misses
dog.
us.
It's cool.
She misses
Yeah.
us.
She wants to be part of the podcast, but can't because she smokes crack. But
Oh.
Non-stop.
like
I don't know how that dog gets so much crack.
yeah, I don't know how she gets out of the apartment and just finds all this fucking crack. It's just like rocks on rocks
Just
on
like
rocks.
everywhere.
There is an
these days.
alleyway right behind you.
Okay, yeah, so now we know. But yeah, my dog ended up doing 2 rocks instead of 1 for one day. And ended up literally defecating all over my rug so hard that
That
we
is
had
a
to
fancy
replace
way
it.
to put how bad that was.
Okay, yeah, it was a poopa palazzo.
It was a nuclear explosion.
Oh, poor baby.
It was a nuclear
It's
explosion.
okay. That same thing happened. I tried to take my dog camping last year, and he hated it and had diarrhea all over all of my
no.
stuff
Oh,
when I was
no.
sleeping. So
That sounds
I
like a
get it.
shitty time.
It was a shit show. It was a literal shit show. Yeah.
Sounds intense.
Oh no.
It's like camping.
It
You did
wasn't
that.
that.
Hopefully, it was outside of tents.
No, it was not outside
That's
of
worse.
tents. Yeah, it was very bad. So I understand.
You were talking earlier about this venue. You had an open wall
Yeah.
show at the other night. Can you tell us more about that place?
Yeah, I'd love to. So Shift at Mile High, it's right by the new Meow Wolf, like right directly off I-25. So pretty easy to get to from in and out of Denver.
For those who don't know what Meow Wolf is, maybe.
Yeah, Meow Wolf is
too.
like a new arts installation building. They started in Santa Fe and they brought one to Denver now. So they have a lot of kind of like psychedelic installations. They'll be opening in September. And then Shift Space in particular is focused on yoga and mindfulness. And then I'm going to start teaching workshops there in October because they're expanding their platform into the visual arts and into dance.
What's you going to teach?
Yeah, I'm going to teach
What-
a little
what
bit.
you gonna
Oh, what am I
teach?
going to teach? Yeah, so the class I'm teaching is called Mindfulness Through Mark Making, and it combines breath techniques and meditation techniques with India ink mark making on paper.
This is very niche in a good way.
Yeah.
Like very, very different.
Yeah, because it'll be a nice
It's taking
intro
my
class
breath
for
away,
someone. Yes,
even.
thank you. For someone who's never done art and does like to do yoga and mindfulness, it'll be a really easy lead-in into that and something you can practice every day. Because when I'm in meetings, I doodle and I draw all day. I make little
Right.
ink paint. Like if I have to be in a Zoom meeting, I'm going to be painting like where you can't see me.
That's the best place to paint, where you can't be seen.
Where you can't be seen.
Nobody wants to see art.
No,
That's not the purpose of it whatsoever.
not at all.
Not even a little bit. So, what would you say your
Yeah.
biggest struggle is with being an artist?
I think financially it's pretty hard. I haven't ever had probably a year with like profit. I always have to work multiple jobs to support it. But I am still a younger artist. I think it takes a lot of time and dedication to get to the point where you can live off of your art.
I still can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I've even ever made profit because most money that comes back to me, I actually put into making prints or into throwing events for other people.
Yeah, I actually had a fun conversation the other day with someone about how most of us artists will end up doing art for the price that it costs us to make it.
Yeah.
And everybody thinks it's so expensive. And I took him to an art supply store the other day, and he realized how expensive
Yeah,
it
and then
is.
you understand. Yep. And like my batiks take over a month to make. They take about 6 weeks to make.
Okay.
My oil paintings take over 150 hours probably to make because they're so layered. So it does take a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort. And I agree. If people want commissions and you want to pay me a certain amount, I'm only going to work on it that amount of money that it makes sense for me.
Yeah, no, that's exactly how I
Yeah.
am too.
So I'm gonna plug us real quick, and hopefully artists that will be a part of this. So we're gonna actually end up having a shop on
Yeah, that's
our
amazing.
on our website. Have any guests that want to have their artwork or whatever put it on it. We're gonna put.
We're
Sorry,
getting
I
there.
sneezed. We ended up. We're gonna. Sorry, my dog is just not being kosher to the podcast right now. But we're gonna put Mark's stuff up. We're gonna mark stuff up. Try to kind of push that a little bit.
Yeah.
If you want to have your stuff up on our shop, why not? We want to support
Yeah.
any local artists that we can with the show.
Yeah, I would love that. I think a lot of people would be really interested in that too. I do think that's kind of where art's moving. I think into direct sales. I think kind of galleries are probably going to be dying a little bit because at least for me, I don't sell a lot of work through galleries. I show a lot. I'm in 2 shows right now, but usually I sell my work after it comes down from the gallery because people don't want to pay the gallery fees.
Of course. And
Yeah, I think people have figured that out now.
I've never sold a single work through a gallery. It's all been
It's really
commissioned
rare,
or
yeah.
through Instagram.
Well, and I think the power should be towards the artists anyway. With
Yeah.
that anyway, like price control, all this other stuff. I mean, we were talking about music last week with Brutal Brunch, a little bit about the 360 rule.
Yeah.
And about how they control, the merch, the tours, everything. Like the record label owns everything. And I think it's about time for all of us artists out there is to take your own power.
I think so too, or galleries that are run by artists, like community galleries. I think
Right.
we need more of those. There's only one that I know of in Denver that works that way, and the only one I know of, you have to have a studio inside the gallery space. And like people like me, I prefer to work from home. So I think we just need more of that.
100%. Maybe we can get on that more. Like, what do you think we can do as a community to help other artists that can't do this?
Yeah, I think in general as the community, you can support artists. If you have extra money, buy original work. Don't buy replicated work. I think in Colorado has a lot of replicated work that are just like mass-produced images printed on canvas of the mountains and bears, and this and that, which is
Mountains and
yeah,
bears.
but
All the general
is great.
Colorado items.
no, it's true though. Which is, I mean, it's fine, but I think just actually buying handmade art that's unique actually supports the art community. Buying mass-produced things that are sold through big galleries doesn't really support.
I'm kind of
the art
amazed
community.
nobody's put granola on a canvas out here yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably happened.
How has that not
It's
happened?
probably happened.
Well,
Do I need to get in on this trend? Nathan says yes.
Yeah,
He's giving
throw
me a
the
strong look of
throw the granola at your iPad
At the iPad.
when you're doing the digital work.
If you don't put granola on a canvas, I'll put granola in my in
in
my,
your what?
I'm making a record player out of resin.
Oh yeah.
I'll just have floating granola all over the place. Maybe even have like the Colorado bear.
Yeah, then have the Colorado
What?
flag on it.
What flavor granola you gonna throw in there?
Strawberry crumble.
Is that a flavor? I've never heard that. Sounds
So the
delectable.
question is,
actually
also
sounds
with a
fun.
granola record player, is it going to own a dog and like hiking
and only listen to the Lumineers.
and do yoga in the park?
I'll even give it a tattoo.
Oh boy.
Let's come in with those
Is it
like
gonna be a
triangle
live, laugh,
tattoos
love
with the
tattoo?
forest.
It's a tattoo of the Rockies.
Yeah,
Yes,
tattoo the Rockies
with the forest in front.
over the granola shaped like the Rockies.
We're kind of like fucking going off that. Like, can you imagine being a tattoo artist in Denver and like someone comes here for like tourism
For
sake,
tourism
right?
purposes.
Yeah, and sees a record and I was like, I'm totally gonna tattoo that. I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna get tattoo the Rockies. This place like changed the way like my life is. He goes to his tattoo artist like, I want to tattoo the Rockies. He's like, oh god damn it!
Not again.
Another one.
Again.
He just pulls out an entire stack of prints and is just like, okay, which one do you want?
Pick your mountain.
Which angle you want?
Which mountain? Which picture
What
of
template
yourself?
do you fucking
yeah.
want? I've
It's
got
like-
100 of them bitches.
See, the trick is to, instead of getting a tattoo of the Rockies, you get a tattoo of a cardboard sign saying you did a 14er.
Yes. And then you just climb up a very small hill and take
It's
a
true.
picture.
Yeah, all you need is a
Point
nice
at the-
view.
and just
We
point
could
at the
literally
cardboard.
stand up against
Yes.
this window and say we did a 14er.
Yep.
Other side. This
Maybe a
the Rockies
15er.
this way.
It doesn't matter. We could be 14ers above the street.
We're not even on the 14th floor.
We're at least 1,400 feet up.
Not with that attitude, we're not.
What I actually kind of want to know is, since you said you're a bit of a younger artist, where do you want to take your art in the next few years?
Good question.
Yeah, so in the this year, what my goal was kind of to conquer the Denver art scene, and I've had
Conquer.
yeah, in my own way. I've had
What's that way, actually?
just kind of feel more comfortable, get as many opportunities as I can, figure out which galleries I like and I want to keep showing
Okay.
at. So I've actually had 7 gallery shows in the last 5 months. It's been
Dang.
wild. It's been a great year for me. It's been amazing. Next year, one of my goals is I really would like to be in a show either in New York City or Los Angeles, just to get a little bit oomph on my resume and find larger art buying markets. And then after that, I kind of want to become more international and show more internationally, do artist residencies around the world, and use that to explore the world and explore my art a little more.
Have you done
Ultimate
any?
goals.
Have you done any international shows yet, or no?
When I lived in Italy, I had a few shows, so I guess you
Okay.
could say technically, but I don't know if I count that because I lived there.
We kind of hear.
Okay, great. Yes,
This-
I'm an international,
An international
amazing
artist.
artist.
We are quote unquote syndicated podcast, so we're actually experts on this. So yeah, we're gonna say that we're gonna allow it.
Yeah.
We're gonna allow it.
Do you need to add an asterisk above experts and then put some kind of definition below?
No, we're experts. We're not current perts. We used to know what we're doing. That's why we're experts.
We are 6 episodes deep.
We're no longer perts. So we're not a shampoo?
What?
Is pert a shampoo?
Where
Pert
am
is
I?
a shampoo.
I thought I was going to the
What's-
shampoo capital of Denver.
That is...
The
no,
shampoo
granola capital.
of Denver. The
That's
shampoo.
where we're at.
No,
I
no,
would
Capitol
like
Peak
to-
is a mountain.
Yeah, and I would like to eventually like survive off of my art or have my own gallery, where I don't take a giant commission from
Right.
people and give them a space for new and younger artists. That would be ideal, making more money and being able to support myself. I'm working on some online courses. I think that'll help.
Well, I think
Get
continuing
me more into
education.
that.
Continuing education is good for
Yeah.
any sort of thing, especially nurses and doctors.
Yes, we need more. Come.
Well,
Go study.
All nurses and doctors, please learn more.
Yeah, and we need
just
to see
learn
more
more.
of them in general.
Just more in general. It
yeah, and
doesn't
more in
matter
general.
what.
Yeah,
Just
and
learn
make a better
more.
vaccine.
Learn to cook.
Make a better vaccine.
clean.
Yeah, scientists.
Yes,
make
scientists.
a better vaccine.
Well, okay, so we're talking about national, international stuff, right?
Yes.
A little bit.
Those are 2 different things.
What?
Correct. Yeah. Oh.
Anyway.
Anyway, getting back to it. So, we're actually at kind of the same point where we've hit a lot of the Denver market right now,
Yeah.
and we love to expand outward a little bit and get any kind of artists floating through or whatnot. They're coming through Denver. We're kind of stationary right now as we're landlocked,
Yeah.
being in the middle in Denver.
That does mean we're not near an ocean.
What?
I'll just keep pointing out obvious things. There's no seafood here either.
I see food.
Everywhere. Alright, anywho. So, coming from your aspect, how could we maybe break into the international or the national scene of this? Because that's what you're trying to do right now.
Yeah, definitely. I would actually reach out to a couple museums, like maybe the Dam. I show at the Boulder Museum occasionally as their featured artist, and they've always been, the Boulder Museum in particular has always been really happy to send me artist lists so I can reach out to them for my own events.
Right.
So I would reach out to one of them, and then they'll kind of let you know who's coming through town, and then find those people on Facebook or Instagram and just reach out directly, I think is the best way.
Well, I love it.
So if someone wanted to, say, reach out to you
Yeah.
on Instagram,
Yeah.
how can they find you there?
My Instagram is samhauser.art. You can find me there.
Can you spell that?
Yes.
Yes,
So
please
it's
spell that.
Sam, Sam, Hauser, HAUSER.art on Instagram. And then my website is the same. It's samhauserart.com.
Is there any community plugs you might want to put in right now for maybe upcoming events or anything that's going on?
Yeah, definitely. If you want to see any of my work in gallery right now, the big chunk of my work is in the 40 West Arts Gallery in Lakewood. And then I also have a couple, 5 pieces in the Depot Gallery in Littleton right now as well.
What was that first one in Lakewood? 40?
It's called 40 West Arts Gallery.
40 West
Like the
Arts.
number, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's actually my favorite gallery to show at. You guys should check it out.
What makes it
sometime.
your favorite?
The woman who runs it, Liz, is really easy to work with. They don't take a huge commission. They let you help hang the show if you want to, so you can kind of have a little more say in where your work gets hung.
You say Liz?
Mm-hmm.
From
Yeah, Liz Black from
Liz-
40 West Arts. Yeah.
You just got a free plug.
You got a free plug.
Those are
Those are usually expensive.
Yeah, it's in a nice location too. There's all these artist studios near it. So every first Friday they have a really rocking party. They have a bar
cool.
inside the gallery and
Oh, double cool.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
Double free plug.
it's a good place.
All the
yeah.
cool.
Kool-Aid.
All right, we want to thank our special guest
Thank
Sam
you.
here so much for coming over. Please subscribe to our podcast on Spotify or Libsyn or wherever else. I think we're on Amazon now too. Right?
We are on Amazon.
I saw
That's what
you
you
on
said. I
Amazon.
thought you said we were on Audible too.
I couldn't find you on Amazon in English though. It was in Spanish.
Well, see.
Yo,
Is
so
what-
I
how
We
does
have been
this
speaking
podcast?
Spanish
Oh,
the
yeah,
entire
which
time.
was interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, yes,
Well, if
that
we're
was
on
interesting.
Amazon, we're on
Yeah.
Audible. That's the
Okay.
same
Yeah.
thing. It's the
Yeah.
same,
Okay.
it's the same
Me
thing.
llamo Inigo Montoya.
You killed my father.
So
Prepare to
please
die.
subscribe, follow. Every like, subscribe, listen really helps us out, guys. So we're trying to make this the biggest thing since sliced bread, and Betty White is older than sliced bread. So let's be better than Betty White.
Is she actually?
I think so.
By definition, she is. Or
By definition, she is older.
I'm pretty sure they have
She
sliced
is
bread
older
from
than
No,
sliced
they
bread.
didn't do sliced bread till like the 1940s.
Everyone ate entire
or
loaves in one
Yeah.
bite. It was a very fascinating time. We used to unhinge our jaws like snakes and just open up and just
I'm more
down
intrigued by this. Let's
entire
keep this
loaf.
going for a
And
minute.
that's how we take in content right now. We just open our ears like fucking snakes.
We unhinge our
You
ears.
love that
Open our
conjecture, right?
ears like snakes.
Anyway, please follow us. Like,
Does that
for
mean
more
we try and
content.
convince people to
Shut
eat
up when we
apples?
finish this fucking podcast.
I will not.
Can
We should
never
cut
end.
that one.
Please
will
like,
not.
share, anything helps. Please save me from these fucking morons.
Who are you talking about?
Thank you, Sam, for coming on our podcast. And
Thank you
We out.
guys. Thank